what Objective Secure is began when post 2015, my first deployment as an amputee. That was kind of my initiation into gradually moving into the public space, kicking and screaming a little bit, had some generals that made me do some things. Gradually got more and more comfortable, just like we just talked about, right? I really struggled with that. And I still do a little bit today. Social media, I'm putting some stuff out there, and then the waves of questions are coming in, right? How did you do what you did? How did you do what you did? Was most often what I was being asked. And I'm answering people one at a time. Boom, 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 boom. Well, after a year or two of doing that, I just decided I was going to put the answer to that question in a Microsoft Word document.
You're like, yeah, I got a lot of content here.
Yeah, I mean, purely for efficiency, Brian, purely for my own efficiency. So when this question comes in, I can just copy, paste, and send. And not only are you getting a faster response, I'm able to work through my process faster, but by creating that, I actually gave it a lot more thought than I had prior to that point in time.
Yeah.
I sat back going, how did I do what I did? I really haven't deeply reflected on that. So I broke open my journals. I broke open my training logs. I started matching up kind of what I was doing at what time. What was I feeling? What was I thinking? How was I training? How was I eating? Right. And I just blended all that together into what ended up being maybe a 9-page Microsoft Word document. Nothing fancy, just an outline, like step 1, step 2, step 3, or phase 1 through phase 10. That was it. And I used it that way for a couple years. And it was successful, right? People were getting what they needed. I was able to do it faster and more efficient. Everybody won. Well, come early to mid 2020, I'm in dive school down in Key West. I'm getting my ass kicked. And a good buddy of mine reaches out. We've been best friends over 20 years, played football together in college. He hits me up, and I got maybe 2 weeks left of dive school. And I'm a ragged mess, Brian, right? I mean,
they've just been killing you.
Just absolutely getting my ass kicked, hanging on by a thread the entire time. And he hits me up and says, basically, Nick, I want to talk to you about something. I think you need to write a book. And I'm like, dude, get out of here. I'm in no position to even have this conversation with you. Let's talk later. Sure enough, we circle back a few weeks later, and he presents it to me again. I said, no, man, I think that you need to seriously consider this. So purely out of respect to him, as one of my best friends over 2 decades, I said, sure, Eric, I'll think about it. And I did. And now keep in mind, this is July of 2020. COVID, crazy. We're teleworking, even in the military, which is weird, but we got limited hours in the office, limited hours in the team rooms. I got a lot of extra time and energy on my hands that I otherwise wouldn't have had. So I have that to leverage. And I don't typically do well with idle time. So I'm like, okay, you know what? And get back on the phone with E. I said, dude, I got this Microsoft Word document. It's about 9 pages long. Here's how I've been using it. He's like, I love it. Keep going. Add to it. Just add a little bit to it. Don't no set plan, no set outline. Just keep writing. You're already journaling every day. You're writing in your training log. Just throw that stuff at this project. Let's just see what happens. I said, okay, yeah, fine, fair enough. Brian, I'm not kidding you, man. It didn't take more than 2 weeks, and this became my obsession. And it turns out, again, finding out late in life that you have a passion for something. This happened with me just a couple of years ago, and I'm 39 years old. I'm going to be 40 next month. Late in life, I realized I actually enjoy writing, which to this day, saying out loud feels and sounds weird to me, but it was true. I caught the bug. I found myself getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I just had to get up and write. So I got dialed in, and I'm doing, 500-600 words a day. Now it's June, August, or July.
Are you taking what's in the 9-page and we're just adding, right? Now you're really fleshing it out. Right?
Yeah, I'm adding more.
Right. And you're just starting to build it out.
Yep. So I'm adding more analysis into what was already there. And then now I'm adding in personal examples of what was I going through in time and space when I realized that this particular principle was important, or how I leveraged this principle or this tenet to my advantage, because this is what I was experiencing, right? So kind of tying in personal experience with kind of general recommendations and guidance. And I just kind of kept adding to it. I had a deployment scheduled for December of 2020. So I gave myself that as my backstop. which left me with just about 4 months of time. And I said, okay, I'm going to go at this thing from now until then, and then I'll reassess and see where things are at. I mean, fast forward to late November, and I'm sitting on like 70,000 words.
Jeez.
And I at least have the contents of a book, right? So we can talk more about how that became from a Word doc to like a 3-dimensional thing.
Yeah.
But I just used that story, kind of the genesis of the project, to just exemplify and really put an exclamation point on what it is today. Is still very much the exact same intent that it was 4 years ago when I wrote a 9-page Word doc. It's a guide, it's a tool, it's a philosophy, it's a methodology focused on achieving goals through overcoming adversity through the lens of what I experienced and went through from being at a position where I really should have died to getting back to operational status, getting back to the teams, and then continuing to do what I had done from that point up until I wrote the book, man.